Hello. The subject of today's video will again deal with using lists to manage data in Alpha software. Yesterday's video, when I talked about lists, I received a comment back from someone who viewed it who said that they didn't quite understand exactly how to create the list object. So to start with, we're going to look at that. I'm going to go to the design mode. Now, my list is a variable that I've placed on the form. So if I go to Form and Variables, here's where I created it. VList equals quote quote, which basically is telling the system that it's a character variable. I have fpath, which is another variable that'll be a string, and then I've added field size as a final variable for today's demo. Let's go back into view mode. Alright, now I'm going to select the folder, and we're going to select the Take Charge engine. There you go. Now, there's several things that happen when I select the folder. One, the variable fpath displays the path that I selected. VList, which is my list variable, shows everything that's in that folder. And the sum of the size of the bytes of each of the files in that subfolder displays over here, 122.82 megs. Now, let's look at how this is done. So let's go back into design mode. First, under VList, it's important that you understand what causes it to take and display the values when you select something. So setup, I'm telling it to use a list box. Now I can use a list box, or I could have used a combo box, which would be a drop down, a record list box, a record list edit combo box. All those choices, they all basically work the same way. So we're going to stay with list, and here's how I did the choices. I'm telling it that it's computed automatically, and that it's being computed from an expression that returns a control line feed delimited list. Now, if you remember from the other video, vString was the variable that I used to build that list, whether I was selecting records by double-clicking in the current database or by pointing to an external database. Once vString is created, I use a watch variable to take and tell it that there are new values and to refresh the screen. So the watch variable is CDV and it's numeric. What I did is set it to a value of 0. So if it's 0, it then changes to 1. If it's a 1, it changes back to 0. That change causes the list to refresh, and you see the new data in your displayed list. So that's how that worked. Now, let's look at our Select Folder button. There's a couple things in here. First, I used the UE Browse for Folder, which is an internal function of Alpha 5. It's very nice. Takes and allows you to point to a folder and returns that value. Here, I'm just doing a little checking that if the string from the select folder returns with a char92 at the end, then I want to take and use that. Otherwise, if it doesn't, I want to add the char92 in order to take and make sure that that string is consistent when processing data. Then I take and refresh the path, or fpath, on the form, and I build my vString. Here I'm using the forEach function. Again, this is a high-level function, very simple to use. I take and point to fpath. I tell it that I want all files, so I could filter that down and make it wildcards, that I only want DBase files, or I only want DDLs, whatever I want. But in this case, I want it all. And I'm finding normal files, normal directories, and the like. Then I refresh my view. Here I set fsize as n, which is numeric. I just declare a simple local variable, dis2, and I set it to vString, which again is a list of all those files. Now, this function here is a function of Alpha 5's that I really like a lot. If you're familiar with arrays, or if you're not familiar with arrays, working with an array can be complicated in some instances. Alpha 5 makes this really simple by using the for each next function. All you do is you point to your list, set a variable name, here it's select file, and then tell it what to do or what values you want to read off of it. So first I take and tell it that if the string ends in a dot or a dot dot, to ignore that line and go to next. Then when it finds files that I want to use, it says file size equals file size plus file get size, which is another function that returns the file size in bytes of select file, which is each file in my list or array. Once it goes through the whole list, it takes and sets X field size, which is a variable on the form, and converts it to megabytes. So it's byte to mega, file size 2, and I'm setting it to 2 decimal places. Then all I do is refresh that object, and there it is on the screen. So let's take another look at it. Back out here, save, close. All right, now we're going to take and point to the folder. This time we'll point to the C drive. Click OK. There you go. The folder is refreshed. And now, because most of it's folders and we're only reading file sizes, you can make it shows as 4.68 megs. Now, if you wanted to read all of it, you could convert that list to be a recurse of all files and folders from that subdirectory down, and it would build everything. Understanding this little simple concept allowed me to create a dual pane file manager, which looks like this. Here you have your source folders, your target folders. I'm able to take and select a folder and open it, display what's inside, tag files, swap folders. I can swap these over here, so let's do that. There you go. Now it's on this side and C's on this side. I can swap it back. Do anything I want. I can run any kind of utilities against it. Select a file, and it shows down here free space on the drive, how big the individual file is, when it was created, so forth and so on. That's it for today's demo. Again, lists are very, very powerful tools in Alpha software. I encourage you to try and use them. Thanks a lot and have a great day.